DSCR prepayment penalties. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Jeff Trevarthen, Jeff the Mortgage Pro, here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching my videos today. Before I get into this one, I think you're going to like this one today. I've done a little slideshow for you here to help out on this topic, just to visualize it a little bit. But if you could do me a huge favor, if you like these videos, would you go ahead and click on that like button down below, and that lets the algorithm know that there's more people out there that like these. And if you really like my videos, if you do me a huge favor and click the subscribe button, obviously trying to grow the audience and do the best that I can to provide my information to as many people out there as possible. So I'm a mortgage broker and I can help you out in most places, but let's jump into the topic today, DSCR prepayment penalties. So DSCR loans are one of the most used loans out there for investment properties, especially for 1 to 4 units. It's kind of come about over the last 6, 7, 8 years. They're not, super well known yet, but hopefully with the videos that I've done, that message is getting out. But one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is that they typically do have a prepayment penalty on them, which is different than any other residential mortgage loan that's out there. So we have to be careful, and we have to make sure that we use these to our advantage, or we make sure that they are in place whenever we do a mortgage loan. There's a couple places that I'll mention here in a few minutes that don't allow you to have prepayment penalties, but for the most part, most states do. But let's get into it a little bit here first. So on the first slide here, so where allowed, so a DSCR prepayment penalty is just a penalty for paying off your loan early by either a refinance or a sale. So usually with the penalties, it's going to be as long as you pay off 20% or more of the balance. So sometimes you can do a recast, which is to pay down the balance, but if it's 20% or more of the original balance that you have, then you could get hit with the prepayment penalty. So before you do any type of a recast, make sure to run that by your mortgage servicer, whoever's you're making your mortgage payments to every month. Okay, these can range from anywhere from 1 to 5 years. I would say that the most common is a 3-year prepayment penalty. That's how most lenders are priced out, with a 3-year prepayment penalty. So the way that they work is that the longer the prepayment penalty period, typically the lower end of the rate spectrum is, because the lender knows that you're probably going to keep that loan for the most amount of time if you have a higher term prepay. So for example, if you have a 5-year prepayment penalty, that's going to be on the lower end of the rate spectrum. Okay, and then conversely, if you went with a lower prepay or no prepay, it's going to be on the higher end of the rate spectrum, just because that loan might get paid off sooner before the lender can actually make a profit on the interest rate they're charging on that particular loan. So, it's important to understand the variability in the interest rate and why the prepayment penalty is, have a range in there. Now, you can change the way that the prepayment penalty is. You can sometimes buy down the prepayment penalty with extra cost at closing, or you can also go with a higher rate if you wanted a lower prepayment penalty to begin with. So, those options are available to you, and it just depends on your individual scenario and your individual loan as to what might be the right option for you. And that's something that we could discuss if you decide to give me a call and learn more about DSCR loans, or actually go through the process of doing one with us. Okay. So there are 2 different types of prepayment penalties that I want to mention. These are the most common ones that you'll see. And the first one is called a hard prepay. And that means that it doesn't matter when you pay off the loan during the prepayment penalty period. If the prepayment penalty is a 2% or a 3% of the balance, if you pay it off during the prepayment period and it's a hard prepayment penalty, you are going to incur that penalty, whether it's on the 6th month after you've obtained the mortgage, or if it's like a 3-year prepay, if it's on the 35th month, so 1 month short of the 3-year prepay. So it's the same no matter when you pay it off during the prepayment penalty, and that's called a hard prepayment penalty. So some of them are like that, not all of them are. I would say that the majority of them are what the other one is called, which is called a step down prepayment penalty. And in this instance, what happens is that it gradually decreases over time. So as we get closer and closer to the prepayment penalty period being over, then in reality it's going to get less. So for example, if we were to do a 3-year prepayment penalty, it would be a 3% penalty in the first year, a 2% penalty in the second year, and a 1% penalty in the third year. That's how a step-down prepayment penalty works. So hopefully you can understand the difference between a hard prepay and a step-down prepay. All right, let's do a quick example here just to show you what those are so you have an idea of what those charges might look like. So in this slide, on the left-hand side, I've got a hard prepayment penalty example. So let's say we have a $100,000 loan, and I'm really using that $100,000 loan for easy math, so it's not hard to determine what the prepayment penalty is going to be, okay? So a 3-year hard prepayment penalty, in this case, has a 3% penalty if you were to pay off the loan early. So the 3, 3, and 3 means if you paid it off in the first year, it's a 3% penalty. If you pay it off in the second year, it's a 3% penalty. And if you paid it off in the third year, it's a 3% penalty. So let's say we pay this one off in year 3 before our deadline comes up. Our prepayment penalty is 3% of the original loan balance. So 3% of that is $3,000. So you could incur a penalty if it's a hard prepay of $3,000 if you were to pay that early. Now, you have to kind of do the math too on this instance. Like maybe you have a $100,000 loan and $3,000 isn't that big of a deal because you're going to be able to save that much in the first year by lowering your interest rate because rates drop or something of that nature. That might be an instance where like who cares about the prepayment penalty? Let's just refinance it or sell it and not worry about it. But if you have $1 million loan, that's 30 grand. That could be a lot different, story if you were to pay it off during that prepayment penalty period. So you got to kind of, run the numbers to figure out if in that instance it's going to work out in your favor or not, or if you're willing to incur the penalty or not. Then the second example over on the right-hand side is that the step-down prepayment penalty. So we're going to say that it's a $100,000 loan again for easy math. In this case, it's a 3-year step-down prepayment penalty. So 3% in the first year, 2% in the second year, 1% in the third year would be your penalty. And let's say, again, we pay it off in year 3 before the deadline. So in this case, the penalty would only be 1% of the loan amount. So the original loan amount in this instance is $100,000. So the penalty is only $1,000. Now, I don't know about you, but if it's a $100,000 loan and I have a $1,000 penalty, like that's not a big deal. I'm probably pretty willing to pay that off because you can, pay it off through the refinancing of that loan going forward. So that's not a huge deal. But hopefully you can see the difference of the two different types of prepay. And again, I'll mention that the step-down prepayment penalty is by far the most popular one amongst the lenders. So you'll see that one the most. Okay. And then lastly, I want to put a couple different states on here because all states are different. There's various state regulations on a state-by-state basis that you'll see here. And if you want more information about that, you can let me know. But the main states, Alaska, Iowa, Kansas, Minnesota, and New Mexico, do not allow for a prepayment penalty. And I think this is also on a lender-to-lender basis because not all lenders lend in all 50 states. So these are the ones that I could come up with that I know that they don't have a prepayment penalty in. Illinois has no prepayment penalty if the rate is over 3%. So over the last couple of years, as interest rates have gone up and they've been high, most DSCR loans are probably going to be over the 8% range. So you would not have a prepayment penalty in Illinois if that was the case. But, just so you know, and for your knowledge, if you're investing in those different places for rental properties, 1 to 4 units, those states are not going to have a prepayment penalty. But the downfall of not having a prepayment penalty is that interest rates will be on the higher end of the rate spectrum because of that. So lenders just price that in anyway, like, oh, okay, we don't have a prepayment penalty. We're just going to go ahead and, crank up your rate a little bit here to account for that factor. So, that's one of the drawbacks about your state that, not having a prepayment penalty. So in reality, it's probably a good thing. So, all right, if you found this information helpful and you want to learn more about DSCR loans, and if you want to, schedule a call with me if you want to do a DSCR loan, or if you have plenty of properties that you want to refinance into a DSCR loan or purchase with a DSCR loan, I'd love to be the one that helps you out. I'm going to put my calendar link down below. And if you would like, let's schedule a call and let's chat about it. But thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys on the next show. Have a great day. Bye.